Baiju Ravindran a few months ago on this very show. He said there are companies in the digital space who don't have cash flows but are building great valuations, and there are companies in the EdTech space who have cash flows and profits to show off today, not 5 years out. Would you say that that is the kind of model which appeals to you in the upgrade investment that you've made, that the cash flows don't come 5 years later after you've burnt hundreds of crores? They are available even today.
So if it's specifically about education in the EdTech sector around the world, I would like to say very clearly, it doesn't need that kind of money. This is not one of those sectors where the more money you have, the more you can burn and do whatever else. Yes, sometimes it goes into consolidation. Most times in education, marketing necessarily doesn't work. So the model has to be right from day one. The people who say, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and then 5 years later, I'm going to figure out profitability, it's a very tough place to be, almost an impossible place to be. And half, I would blame the entrepreneurs, but more than that, the half, I blame the investors. Because the chant, when you're putting in that money is, okay, so what will it take to do this? What will it take to do that? It's not a game show. What will it take to that? There are no theoretical questions and answers. But it almost becomes like that. Okay, instead of $100 million, if I give $200 million, what will it take to do that? And then, similarly, just 9 months later, magically, those same people will say, okay, where's the profitability? So I think founders have to be rock sturdy that if they're only going to be lured into the valuation of the fundraising game without actually getting to what is the business I'm going to do, everyone else will be seen as fair weather friends getting on and off the boat. And I think when you look at failure there, most people think, oh, so what is the failure? You raised money and you got a $1 billion valuation. Are you likely to fail? Failure has got multiple. The business may still continue. Could you be devalued? Yes. Is valuation going to be a failure if it's a lower part? Is the business model a failure? Is running out of money the failure? So there's that. You have to be very, very clear because you've upped the ante, you've upped the stakes. Now it's your responsibility, whether you're 30, 40, or 50 years age, to deal with that onerous part that comes with raising that kind of capital.
Given what you just said about EdTech, what do you think has the greater potential in this country, EdTech or FinTech? Because these two seem to be very broad categories where a lot of new enterprises are mushrooming. Some will survive, some will not. But broadly as themes, which do you think has greater potential?
See, I think it again depends on the benchmark. Both as total addressable markets are massive. I mean, a country like India, where we need to upskill so many people, where everyone who comes into the workforce is not ready for the workforce, where almost only 60% of the people don't even finish their undergraduation, but now need to, where a lot of people need to move from the arbitrage economy to what I would call the fourth industrial revolution or the IT economy, and learn to earn more, there's massive scope. The FinTech is part of, for a growing nation like this, we're going to transact digitally. So if you're crazy about the context of GMV and value and transaction value, then FinTech will have its own. When it's really high impact and how a nation can actually become the second largest economy in the world, I think EdTech is going to play a much more role. And the last thing I would say is the wallet share, the mind share for spending of the consumer for education versus looking at FinTech as an enabler. Here, it is going to be a much more, you'll pay for it, and you will pay for it because it's going to change your career and it's going to give you an ROI. In the FinTech, you will use that more as a platform or as a transactional mode, which makes it more efficient. And therefore, finding that profitability in that sliver of a margin will have its own challenge.